The knife never comes from the front. If it did, you would catch the hand. You would block the strike. You would fight back. The front is where enemies stand. The front is where war happens. But you were not at war. You were at dinner. You were laughing. You were sharing your dreams, your fears, and your weaknesses with someone you called a friend, someone you called a partner. And that is why you are bleeding. The betrayal that destroys you never comes from a stranger. A stranger cannot hurt you because a stranger has no access to your back. The betrayal always comes from the person you handed the key to. And looking back, you feel stupid. You feel blind. You replay the memories, and suddenly the red flags you painted white begin to bleed through. You see the glances. You hear the pauses. You realize that the signs were there and all along, screaming at you in a language you refuse to learn. You want to believe that humans are good. You want to believe that loyalty is the default setting of the soul. Machiavelli would laugh at you. 500 years ago in the brutal courts of Florence, Niccolò Machiavelli wrote the code that governs human nature. He did not write about how things should be. He wrote about how things are, and his verdict was cold. Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous. If you operate on the assumption that people are loyal until proven otherwise, you are walking through a minefield with your eyes closed. You are begging to be destroyed. But if you learn to see, if you learn to decode the subtle, dark mechanics of the human shadow, you become something else entirely. You stop being a victim of betrayal and become a student of human dynamics. You can spot the traitor before they draw the blade. You can feel the shift in temperature before the storm. There are 3 specific behaviors, 3 tells that reveal a person who is incapable of loyalty. These are not obvious. They are not the person who lies to your face. They are the person who smiles too much, the person who agrees too quickly, the person who uses honesty as a mask for deceit. We are going to dissect them. We are going to rip the mask off. By the end of this, you will look at your circle differently. You will see the cracks in the foundation, and you will finally have the permission to do what you have been too afraid to do. Cut the rope. Before we identify the 3 types of traitors, you must understand why you keep letting them in. There is a flaw in your operating system. It is called the projection of virtue. You are a decent person. You value your word. If you say you will help, you help. Because you operate this way, you project this value system onto others. You assume that because you would not betray them, they will not betray you. This is a fatal error in strategy. Machiavelli warns, a man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good. You are projecting your own reflection onto a wolf. The wolf does not care about your reflection. The wolf cares about hunger. Most people view trust as a feeling. I feel like I can trust him. Wrong. Trust is not a feeling. Trust is a calculation. The moment you rely on vibes or chemistry, you are prey. The greatest con artists in history, from Casanova to Bernie Madoff, were masters of vibes. They made you feel special. They made you feel understood. They used your desire for connection as the Trojan horse to enter your walls. You must stop trusting your feelings and start trusting patterns. Patterns do not lie. Words lie. Emotions lie. But behavior is the only truth. Here is something worth understanding. The people who will hurt you the most are rarely strangers to pain themselves. Many of them were betrayed before you. Many of them learned manipulation not from a textbook, but from a childhood where love was conditional and trust was a trap. This does not excuse them. It does not mean you should stay, but it means you should understand that you are not dealing with monsters. You are dealing with damaged machinery that will break everything it touches, and broken machinery does not discriminate. It will break you too, regardless of how good you are to it. Compassion is not the same as access. You can understand a person completely and still remove them from your life entirely. These two things are not mutually exclusive. This is one of the most important distinctions you will ever make. We are going to look at 3 specific behavioral patterns that signal a dormant enemy. These are the people who are currently in your life, masquerading as allies. Traitor sign number 1. The weaponized vulnerability, the premature confessor. This is the most counterintuitive sign, and that is why it catches the smartest men off guard. We are taught that vulnerability is a sign of closeness. We are taught that if someone shares their pain, their secrets, or their trauma with us, it means they trust us. So you meet someone, a new friend, a new colleague, a potential romantic partner, and within the first few hours, or perhaps the first week, they dump something heavy on you. They tell you about their abusive childhood. They tell you about their crazy ex who ruined their credit. They tell you a deep, dark secret they have never told anyone else. Your ego swells. You think, wow, they must really see something special in me. We have a deep connection. You are not special. You are a target. This is not intimacy. This is premature confession. And in the world of dark psychology, this is a transaction. Machiavelli understood that men are driven by 2 principal impulses, either by love or by fear. But there is a third driver: debt. When someone gives you a secret, they create an immediate subconscious debt. They have given you a piece of themselves. Now, the social contract of reciprocity demands that you give them a piece of yourself in return. So what do? You lower your shield. You tell them your secrets. You tell them about your insecurities. You tell them about the friction in your marriage or the money you are hiding from the tax man. You think you are bonding. In reality, you are handing them ammunition. The premature confessor is often a person with no boundaries. A person with no boundaries has no loyalty. If they are willing to betray their own privacy to a stranger, they will betray your privacy to the next stranger they meet. Think about it. Why would they trust you so quickly? They do not know your character. They do not know if you are a good person. They do it because it is a manipulation tactic. It is a way to speed-run trust. They want to bypass the necessary time it takes to build real loyalty by hacking your empathy. Real trust is slow. Real trust is earned. The Romans knew this. The Spartans knew this. You did not enter the inner circle by sharing a sad story. You entered by bleeding on the same battlefield for 10 years. Here is the uncomfortable truth about the premature confessor that most videos will not tell you. They are not always conscious of what they are doing. Some of them genuinely believe they are connecting with you. Some of them have been so starved of real intimacy that they mistake emotional dumping for closeness. The outcome is the same. The damage is the same. Whether the manipulation is calculated or instinctive, the person with no self-regulation has no business inside your walls. Their chaos will become your chaos. Their wounds will become your wounds. Because they are not offering you a relationship. They are offering you a project. And you cannot build an empire when you are spending all your energy being someone else's therapist. Beware the person who tries to fast forward the relationship. If someone tells you their darkest trauma on the first date, run. They are not looking for a partner. They are looking for a hostage. Machiavelli would advise you to accept the information but give nothing in return. Listen, observe, but keep your own cards face down. A secret shared too soon is not a gift. It is a hook. Do not bite. Traitor sign number 2. The Switzerland syndrome. The pathological neutral. I do not want to get involved. I'm just going to stay out of it. I see both sides. These sentences sound mature. They sound reasonable. They sound like the words of a peacemaker. They are the words of a traitor. In The Prince, Machiavelli writes a chapter on the fatal nature of neutrality. He argues that when two powers are fighting, The one who remains neutral is hated by the loser and despised by the winner. Because neutrality is not a moral stance. Neutrality is a safety calculation. When a person stays neutral in the face of disrespect towards you, they are not being objective. They are hedging their bets. Let us say you are in a conflict. Someone has wronged you. Someone has stolen from you, lied about you, or disrespected you publicly. Your friend watches this happen. They know you are right. They know the other person is a snake. But when you ask for their support, they shrug. I am friends with both of you. I do not want to choose sides. Understand this clearly. Silence is a choice. By refusing to condemn the disrespect, they are validating the disrespect. The pathological neutral values their access to people more than they value their principles. They want to be popular. They want to be liked by everyone. They want to keep all doors open. A person who wants to be liked by everyone stands for nothing. And a person who stands for nothing will stand for no one, not even you. There is a particular cruelty in the pathological neutral that we often fail to name. It is the cruelty of comfort. They do not hurt you because they hate you. They hurt you because staying safe is more important to them than doing right. They look at your suffering and they calculate. They weigh their social capital. They measure the cost of loyalty against the cost of silence, and every single time, they choose silence. They choose themselves. Wrapped in the language of peace and neutrality, they are the most self-interested people in any room. Dante Alighieri, a fellow Florentine of Machiavelli, reserved the hottest places in hell, not for the violent, but for those who in times of moral crisis preserved their neutrality. Why? Because the violent man at least has conviction. The neutral man has only self-preservation. Do not trust the person who is friends with your enemies. If they are drinking with the person who is trying to poison you, they are handing them the cup. Cut them loose. You need allies who are willing to bleed, not spectators eating popcorn while you fight for your life. Traitor sign. Number 3. The grandstander of virtue. The moral performer. I hate drama. I am an empath. I never lie. I am just a nice guy. That is my problem. The loudest announcements in a room are usually the biggest lies. In psychology, this is called reaction formation, a defense mechanism where a person obsessively portrays the opposite of what they actually are, because they are terrified of their own nature. The person who constantly tells you how much they hate drama is always the source of the drama. The person who constantly tells you how honest they are is usually getting ready to deceive you. Machiavelli wrote extensively about the appearance of virtue. He advised princes that it is not necessary to have all the virtues, but it is necessary to appear to have them. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience who you really are. The modern manipulator has read the playbook. They know that to hide their dark triad traits, narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, they must wear the mask of a saint. They do not just act good, they perform goodness. They share social justice posts endlessly. They talk loudly about their charity work. They judge others for their moral failings while committing greater ones behind closed doors. This is camouflage. A truly good person does not need to advertise their goodness. Goodness is quiet. Integrity is silent. It is demonstrated in action, not in press releases. When someone is broadcasting their morality, they are selling you something. And if they are selling, you should check your wallet. Watch the person who is so nice to you, but rude to the waiter. Watch the person who preaches loyalty, but gossips about their other best friend the moment they leave the room. Watch the person who claims to be humble, but dominates every conversation with their own achievements. The mask always slips. Machiavelli warns that the wolf does not knock on the door and say, "I am here to eat you." The wolf puts on the skin of the sheep. He bleats. He grazes. He waits until the shepherd is asleep. You must develop the eyes of a predator to spot another predator. When you see someone trying too hard to convince you of their character, ask yourself, what are they trying to distract me from? Usually, it is a void, a lack of empathy, a deep, cold narcissism that views you as an object to be used. They want you to trust their words, so you stop looking at their hands. And their hands are stealing from you. We have identified the three archetypes: the premature confessor, the pathological neutral, and the moral performer. You are reading this, and faces are popping into your head. You feel a tightness in your chest. That is your intuition finally waking up from the sedative you fed it. But the question remains, why did you not see it before? It is because of a psychological glitch called normalcy bias. We assume that things will continue as they are. We assume that because someone has not stabbed us yet, they never will. We are addicted to the status quo. To acknowledge that your best friend is a pathological neutral means you have to have a confrontation. It means you have to be lonely for a while. It means you have to admit you were wrong. The human ego hates admitting it was wrong more than it hates being betrayed. So you make excuses. You gaslight yourself. Stop it. Machiavelli did not write The Prince for people who wanted to be comfortable. He wrote it for people who wanted to survive. Survival requires the death of your illusions. You have to be willing to look at the people you love and see them not for who you want them to be, but for who they are. Now we move from observation to action. You have your suspicion. You see the signs, but suspicion is not enough. You need proof. Here are the 3 stress tests. Test 1. The no test for the premature confessor. The next time they dump a crisis on you or demand your time, say no. Do not apologize. Just say, "I cannot do that right now." Watch the reaction. A healthy person will respect the boundary and move on. The manipulator will panic, escalate, or guilt you. Their reaction is your answer. If a no destroys the relationship, it was never a relationship. It was a parasitic attachment. Test 2. The public defense test for the pathological neutral. Force them into the light. Create a situation where they must take a public stance. Hold the silence. I need to know which path you support. Watch them squirm. If they cannot support you in a small decision, they will never support you in a crisis. If they check the room before they check their conscience, they belong to the herd, and the herd will trample you the moment you trip. Test 3. The withdrawal of praise for the moral performer. Stop praising them. When they tell you about their charity work, simply nod and say, "Cool." Treat their goodness as normal, expected, boring. If you stop feeding their ego, they will escalate or devalue you. By starving their vanity, you force the monster out of the cave. You will see the rage behind the smile. You will see how quickly their unconditional love turns into conditional hate. Now you know. You have seen the signs. You have run the tests. The results are in. Now what? Do not create a scene. Do not announce your departure. The amateur announces they are leaving. The master just disappears. If you confront a manipulator, you give them one last chance to manipulate you. They will cry. They will gaslight. They will spin the story to make you look like the crazy one. Do not give them the microphone. Use the fade. Slowly withdraw your energy. Become boring. Become busy. Become unavailable. Your circle should decrease in size, but increase in value. A table of 12 where 6 are hiding knives is not a feast. It is an ambush. A table of 2 where loyalty is absolute is an empire. And here is the final truth. the one that separates the merely informed from the genuinely transformed. Cleaning your circle is not an act of coldness. It is an act of love. Love for yourself. Love for the real relationships that cannot breathe under the weight of false ones. Every hour you spend managing a manipulator is an hour stolen from someone who deserves you. Every ounce of energy you give to a moral performer is energy taken from someone who actually lives what they preach. You are not cutting people off. You are making room. You are creating space for the rare and the real. So do you trust no one? No. That is weakness masquerading as wisdom. Machiavelli did not say trust no one. He said trust yourself to see reality. The ultimate goal of this dark knowledge is not isolation. It is precision. When you learn to spot the fakes, you can finally appreciate the real. There are people who possess the old virtues. They speak little, but do much. They pick a side and stay there, even when it rains. They do not advertise their honor. They simply live it. When you find these people, you treat them like gold. You protect them. You return their loyalty tenfold. But you can only find them if you clear the weeds. Reclaim your energy. Pull it back into your core. When you stop needing to be liked, you can start being respected. When you stop fearing betrayal, you can start building alliances. There is one final person you must check. The hardest person to see. Look in the mirror. Are you the premature confessor using your pain to trap others? Are you the neutral, too cowardly to stand for your friends? Are you the performer, acting good instead of being real? Machiavelli wrote, "It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. Do not deceive yourself. The sword of truth cuts both ways. If you want loyalty, you must be loyal. If you want strength, you must be strong. If you want a circle of kings, you must stop acting like a courtier. Clean your own house first, then seal the gates. The world does not reward the naive. It eats them. The world does not reward the paranoid. It ignores them. The world rewards the perceptive. Be the one who sees. Be the one who knows. Be the one who cannot be taken by surprise. That is the ultimate power. Not controlling others, but seeing them so clearly that they can never control you. Walk in silence. Watch the hands. Trust only what is proven.